Hi everyone, thanks for tuning this episode of Nick Egan Times. On this episode, we have an incredible guest. We have the founding member speech from the two times award-winning and legendary hip-hop group Arrested Development. Arrested Development have had several smash hits that include Mr. Wendell, People Every Day, Tennessee, and Revolution. Arrested Development was the first hip-hop group to win the Best New Artist at the Grammys. Welcome to the legendary speech from Arrested Development, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man.
You're welcome. How's it all been going over there for you?
I've had better days, but I've had worse. So sorry.
Fair enough. That's too funny. Tell me, how has the pandemic affected you personally and professionally, and even Arrested Development?
I mean, it's been a double-edged sword. We've made our best music in a long time during this pandemic. We did our first album was in 2020, right after the pandemic started. The first album recently, I should say, and it was called "Don't Fight Your Demons." It was critically acclaimed. It was on the 2020 best albums list of numerous hip hop lovers and magazines and podcasts. So very, very grateful. Definitely a clear-cut resurgence for the group in an underground way, at least. So that was really a triumph. And then we, in 2021, followed up with another record called For the F and Love. It's a celebration of hip hop music. And that was in late 2021, featuring Big Daddy Kane. We had what really could be called an underground hit with our song with Big Daddy Kane called Vibe. The music video won an award for best video. Just a lot of, once again, accolades. In fact, people saying that the second album during the pandemic was better than the first. So, a lot of triumphs. And at the same time, I lost a lot of friends, lost some people that used to play with Arrested Development because of COVID-19. Lost numerous people that I knew and fellow artists that I knew. One in particular in London area named Ty, a great hip hop artist, passed away at age 39 because of COVID. So it's been a tough time. Professionally, it's been very eye-opening. We had to cancel a European tour because we could, not a European tour, a Middle East tour, and I believe an African tour because of the pandemic. We didn't do shows for 2 years, which was unprecedented in our career. So yeah, it's been a double-edged sword in every way.
Yeah, thanks for the insights, and I'm sorry to hear about obviously your losses. That's really sad, and yeah. All right, let's just jump straight into it for the listeners. Take us back. Arrested Development was formed in 1988 by yourself. I believe you put a flyer up, and then yeah, talk us through the rest of how it's obviously all transpired.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I came to Atlanta, Georgia from Milwaukee in 1987. I wanted to start a hip hop crew. I put up a flyer for a DJ I was wanting to rhyme. And I used to DJ myself full time. And at this time, I wanted to really focus on rhyming. I changed my name from DJ Peach to MC Speech. And, you know, it was a time of rediscovery. It was a very Afrocentric city, a lot of progressive thoughts and movements going on as far as Afrocentricity and, Black consciousness. And at the same time, musically, there wasn't a lot that was reflected conscious wise in the music of the down south music scene, especially in hip hop. So I saw an opening for something more progressive, something more sort of broad in its scope of what it was trying to accomplish. And Arrested Development was that. We started doing shows. Me and my man Headliner, who answered the flyer that I put up, we started doing shows around town. We started getting a lot of buzz about us because we were very communal. We used to invite people on stage, drummers, dancers, painters, poets. And it was a very come one, come all type of energy. And that's what, sort of resonated even when we got signed to a record label 3 years, 5 months, 2 days later, um, it was very communal energy. We had an elder in the group, men and women in the group, heavier sets, really skinny people in the group. I mean, it's just a lot of wide varieties of energy coming at you.
Incredible. Do you think that vibe and obviously being very communal that resonated with the rest of the world? That's why you had so much success during that time?
I think it was one of the things. I think it was that it was, the music industry was thirsty for, um, you know, more diversity of thought and diversity of subject matter in hip hop. And yeah, I think that it was very much Arrested Development was an introduction for a lot of people to hip hop music in general. And it was an open door for a lot of artists that have yet to make it to be able to express themselves more and be more true to who they were. So I think it just opened the doors for hip hop and broadened the scope of what hip hop could be. And yeah, so yeah, I think it definitely helped and made a difference in a lot of people's lives during those years.
Yeah, for sure. Even to this day, you hit songs, Mr. Wendell, people every day, they get played on commercial radio. Even to this day here in Australia, in Sydney, like I hear it every Friday on R&B Fridays, for example. So yeah, it's incredible. Can you tell me about those songs and even Tennessee, um, how they came about? And yeah, tell me about those songs because they're obviously just smash hits that are just have had so much longevity.
Yeah, I mean, those songs are really based on true stories. Mr. Wendell was based on me and Headliner really hanging out with a lot of homeless people um, before we made it, and just like talking to them. We were in the recording studio. We would just really respect what they had to say, and Mr. Wendell was really a result of those kind of relationships. And then People Every Day was really the conflict of where I was going in my life with Afrocentric views and thoughts and the way I dressed compared to where a lot of people in the Black community at the time in Milwaukee, which is where I'm born and raised, compared to where they were. It was very different. So there was conflict, and that song is really talking about that conflict. And then songs like Tennessee, which by far is my most important song I've ever written. Um, I spent all my summers in Tennessee in a very rural town with my grandmother, and she passed away of a heart attack. Me and my family went to visit her and go to her funeral and just celebrate her life. And that same week, my brother Terry passed away of an asthma attack. My grandmother passed of a heart attack. So um, the last place I saw them was Tennessee, and I wrote a tribute to both of them, and that was the song Tennessee, and we released that as our first single.
Wow. And that's the song that really got you the momentum too, wasn't it? That really got you
Yeah,
out there and got you that recognition.
yeah, I think it did. It definitely was a breath of fresh air for hip hop, and maybe even for R&B and for Black music in general. And then at the same time, it I think it broadened um, what it meant to be a hip hop artist. I was doing melodic rhyme styles, and at that time, no one was doing that the way I was. And so I think it also broadened how to deliver hip hop and how to bring it to the forefront. So yeah.
That's incredible. Um, Tell me, you went on tour with Hillary Clinton, is that right?
Yeah, by the time I was starting to do solo albums, which was in the 95, 96, 97, Hillary did a book called It Takes a Village, and I had done a song and released it called It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. She heard that I'd done that song, and her office called my office and asked if I would be willing to go out on a book tour with her. It was her and Al Gore and Chelsea Clinton, and it was great. I mean, we toured probably 50,000 people per show, and she spoke. I performed, me and my band, and Al Gore spoke, and I got a chance to meet all of them, and it was a moving time. It's a very, very, very cool time.
Oh, that's sensational. All right, let's go back a little bit. You won two Grammys. Tell me what that was like, and obviously getting all the success in that year, especially, or those years, should I say, around that time. What was the emotions like? Obviously, going into the charts, winning the Grammys, being named Band of the Year in Rolling Stone, like just all this massive success. What was the emotions like? And yeah, talking about
It was surreal. And I think it was mostly surreal because all of it was happening at the same time. So award season is a very early part of the year. And so, we were winning a lot of different awards all within weeks of each other. And so it was very almost like a dream state. And our rise to fame was very fast relative to what most groups experience. So it was our first album. We were in our early 20s. Of course, one of our members was much older because we had an elder in our group, but the rest of us were in our early 20s. The youngest of us was in her young teens. I mean, she was 16, 17. So, to have that kind of success at that age is hard in and of itself. For it to be your first record, that's also hard. And for us to be so unique and so different in the music industry from what was being presented by so many other artists also made it hard. So we were charting a lot of new territory.
yeah, it's incredible what you've achieved, and yeah, the ground you broke, you paved the way for future generations. Um, Tell me, the TV show Arrested Development that they created, how did that impact you? Like, does that have any impact to this day? I know you obviously sued them, and I believe you settled out of court. Has that had any impact to this day on your group still?
It does. It has a very big impact. While we were in court, during what they call discovery, I found out that every TV show that used a music group's name, because there's many instances. The TV show Survivor, there's a rock group called Survivor. The TV show Living Color, there's a rock group called Living Color. Arrested Development, there's a hip hop group called Arrested Development. In all of those instances, the TV show always ends up being bigger than the bands because it's rare and it's hard to be as big as a TV show. I mean, TV is TV. It's a big industry, and it reaches far more people than any particular genre is going to reach in the music industry because it just reaches, a cross section of the American and world population. So the reason that TV show is very hard for us to deal with to this day is that there's a lot of fans that either are fans of the TV show and don't know that we existed, or there's fans of us that are confused by things that come out that say Arrested Development, and they don't know if it's the group or if it's the TV show. So, there's definitely tough things that follow when you have a TV show sort of steal your name. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I could imagine that'll be difficult at the moment. All right. Tell me what motivates you daily. What motivates you personally, and what motivates Arrested Development?
Yeah, I think for all of us in the group, we still have such a deep passion for music. We love what we do. We put our all into it, and so that motivates us. Every show is a brand new opportunity to just give our all, and we really do leave it all on stage. Like, a lot of people say that, but we really do. And what motivates me is I love music. I'm still a big fan of the art form of hip hop. I'm a big fan of music in general and artistry. And so I still get immersed into this field, and writing a great song means everything to me. Performing and giving our all on stage means everything to me. And, fans say that they feel that from us. And so, yeah, that's what still keeps us going in such a very real way, because we're a very vibrant group. I may not seem like it now, but we are. We're a very vibrant group.
No, you're definitely vibrant, and your music speaks for you, right? Like that talks volumes of how vibrant you are. So no, I definitely know that. What's the best advice you've received, and what's actually apart from that as well? What's the best advice you would give someone, even a young person coming into the industry or a future arrested development coming into the industry? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say to the second half of your question, really tell your story. Believe it or not, your story is so unique, it's so special. And if you tell it, we're going to listen. So don't be a carbon copy of somebody else. Tell your story. We're waiting to hear your story. So that's what I would, the second half of what you said. Um, the best advice I ever got would probably be, well, it's hard to say the best advice, but one of the best is that take your time doing a record. It's it's worth it to capture the best take, not just any take. Meaning when you're recording, lay your best work down because these records live on hopefully far beyond your life. And so when you're in that studio, and even if it only lasts a day or a month or whatever long you're recording something, make sure you do your best because it's worth it. It's going to be there longer than you will. So, give your best.
Great advice. Um, what is the legacy that you would love Arrested Development to leave?
Honestly, I hope that the world sees what we were striving to put out and celebrates that. And what I think it is music that celebrates life, that is um, even if it's serious, if the song is serious, it's still joyous. It's still fun. It's still something about it that is uplifting. And I hope that people say that we celebrated life and we celebrated triumph over failure and death. That's what I hope.
Great. Where's your um where's your favorite? You've obviously traveled the world. Where's your favorite places that you toured, and where is your favorite places to tour in the future?
Honestly, I love Australia. It's one of our favorite places to tour. Um, I want to go to Brazil. I want to go to India. I want to go to numerous Caribbean islands. I want to go to Puerto Rico and Haiti, and there's many places that I love to go to. Probably our favorite place, the whole group agrees with this, would be Australia. A close second would be Japan, um, Europe, which we just got off of a 35 city tour in Europe about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So it was incredible. And yeah, I mean, these are some of the places that we love to tour, but there's numerous others like Africa, Canada, United States, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You even played. I saw at 50,000 people in Sydney. Was it? About a couple. Yeah,
Yeah, one time we performed for 80,000 in the streets of, I think it was Sydney, yeah.
yeah.
And it was incredible. I mean, there's part of it on tape and it was just outstanding. It was amazing shows, so lively and so fun. And yeah, the one I'm thinking about, I mean, we've played Sydney a million times, but the
Right.
one where 80,000, it was literally on the streets and they closed down some street areas. And as far as the eye can see, it was just a sea of people. And it's just fantastic.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me. Obviously, you're very busy and you're very heavily motivated in the music industry and that. What are your hobbies and passions aside from music? What do you like to do if you ever get any downtime to relax and kick back?
I'm big on, documentaries and movies. I'm big on walking in nature. Like, I spend a lot of time outside. I love, you know, doing gardening and like just I live on acres of land, so I love doing work in my land. So whether it's trees and cutting down trees or planting or all of these types of things I really enjoy doing. Um, and just general walk and talks. Yeah, I like spending time with good friends, close friends, and stuff like that too.
Amazing. If you were 18 again and you could change anything in your life, it could be yourself personally or Arrested Development, what would you change?
Um, you know, that's a great question. I think, I mean, it's hard to say one thing because there's a lot of things I probably would change, but one of the things would be to release our second album at a different later time. Um, our record label back in the 90s was really sort of twisting our arm to release a second album within a certain time period. And I wish I could have waited a little longer and put that record out, because I would have loved for our trajectory as a group to rise consistently upwards, instead of what we ended up doing, which was a really high debut and then like this for our second album and then some rocky stuff after that. I would have rather it went like that. So I think if we would have had more time and if I would have ignored what my label was trying to push us to do, I think we would have had a chance to pull that off.
Yeah, great insights. Thank you for sharing that. Speech, thanks for coming on the podcast. I do appreciate it. It's humbling to interview you. You know, I love your music. Even when I was younger, I've grown up loving those songs, especially the hits you had back in the early 90s. So, yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.